Welcome back. Police reports of missing persons have risen, with latest figures at their highest since 2021. And among the police appeals for more information this year, checks by CNA show that nearly all were youths or seniors. Social service agencies warn that these groups are especially vulnerable to harm and exploitation. And our reporter Alif Amsyar has spent the past 2 months investigating this issue, and he joins us in studio tonight. Alif, good to have you with us.
Thanks, Angela.
First of all, I'm very curious as to what sparked your interest in this topic to begin with.
Well, Angela, I've been seeing more alerts of missing persons online, and that really started this investigation. And what I found is that official police data show that about 1,450 missing person reports were lodged last year, and that is higher than previous years, as you can see on the screen. But if we were to go back further, the latest numbers are the highest since 2021. Now, separately as journalists, Angela and I, we also get police appeals for information in our mailbox, right? And even while I was investigating this story, there were appeals for information for 2 teenage boys, aged 14 and 17, and thankfully, they've been found. But what I did was I manually tracked data from such appeals over a period of 8 months. So that includes noting down their ages. I also took note of how long they went missing for. And from my findings, 2 very different groups of concern have emerged. One, seniors, about 4 in 10 appeals were for them. For youths, 4 in 10 were for them, and for seniors. But first, let's listen to a youth who opened up her story of why she went missing.
Try not to always blame on the youth, as you wouldn't know what they're actually going through, and you never know how your comments will make them feel.
At 13, running away felt like the easiest way out of her problems. Now 18, the youth who wants to be known as Isabel says each time it meant figuring things out on the go.
I'm not too sure about where I had to stay or where's my source of food. I just went from houses to houses. My parents tried to contact me, but I went on MIA. So I pretty much just ignored whatever messages or calls that went through.
Over the years, Isabel says she went missing more than 10 times, sometimes for as long as 2 months. She was found by the police most of the time, brought back, and then the cycle continued. Outside, not everyone she turned to could be trusted.
The dangers I face is probably just getting taken advantage of, especially your friends. You never know their true colors until you're in need of help. But in order to get that help, you have to do something in return for them. So that's the dangers that girls have to face. If it were to ever happen where the guy were to actually take advantage of you, try to push away the help that they are giving you.
One incident left a lasting impact.
If you seek help from the wrong people, it may lead you to a point where the people will get not happy over the fact that you're away from home. Then let's just say things can go wrong very badly and make you end up in the hospital. So it's just better to be safe than sorry.
Today, Isabel gets the support she needs from her counsellors and teachers. At home, things have also improved.
To other youths who has the thought of running away from home, my advice towards them is look for a trusted adult who you can talk to rather than running away. It is more dangerous than it sounds, being away from home. So you may be free and all, but really the danger out there is worse than you think it is.
Alif, it sounds like Isabel has really been through a lot. You've also spoken to many agencies on the ground. Are cases like Isabel's common?
Well, Angela, Isabel's case is not isolated, right? I spoke to many agencies and they told me that they are seeing more youths going missing, sometimes repeatedly and for longer stretches. Now, one example, Care Corner, it's seeing one case roughly every 2 months for the past year, and previously this was up to 4 cases for the entire year. PPIS, on the other hand, is seeing about 20 such cases each year for the past 2 years. In one extreme case, the youth went missing, came home repeatedly for about 50 to 60 times. But there are also other concerning observations. Let's have a listen.
Some of the youths have or might also resort to tapping on support from strangers, people whom they do not really know well. It might also be seen as like a transactional kind of an exchange where they are provided shelter, roof over their heads in exchange for other things. Sometimes it's to the point that it's in exchange for sexual kind of services.
If they have a wide social network, it means that they can couch surf quite a bit. So maybe Monday to Wednesday it's at Jurong, and then Thursday to Friday they are somewhere in the east. It's just a matter of being able to move from place to place, and they're increasingly mobile.
You know, Alif, you've been tracking these cases for about 8 months now. Can you give us a little bit of a clearer picture as to the reasons why these youth are running away from home and going missing?
Well, Angela, we must understand that each case is unique, but there are common threats. For example, family conflicts at home. There are also additional pressures from school as well as social media in this digital age.
In the past few years, we do see an increasing rise of cases of family violence. It's a rather complex kind of issue that can't really be resolved within a short span of time. We do see during these periods whereby the youth would actually resume back that behavior of running away from home.
We do see an increasing distress among youths who are at risk of disengaging from home, schools, and even the community supports. Yeah, and these youths are usually very overwhelmed with the distress or family conflicts. Yeah, and that's when they feel that they just want to have a temporary relief and leave their homes.
Angela, you may also want to know what happens when a youth go missing, right? So I found one person who's now becoming part of an unofficial network forming online when a youth disappears. Let's take a look.
You guys summon me, the ex-social worker, because one of our besties is missing.
Content creator Kao Rongsheng, better known as Runner Kao, uses Gen Z lingo to connect with his roughly 350,000 followers on issues that matter to young people.
There are 2 more missing girls right now, okay?
But lately, missing youth cases have become harder for him to ignore. Since last year, he's put up appeals for 10 such cases. The youngest was only 13.
In the most recent case where a boy was missing, I received at least 10 messages asking me to whether I'm able to spread awareness about this particular boy. Some even coming from their own personal friends or their schoolmates who are really, really concerned that their friend is missing.
These posts get many shares and comments, and the hope is that some other young person might recognize them. Sometimes, people send alerts of possible sightings.
I get so many leads, sometimes even up to 20 to 30 leads. There are some very casual messages saying, "Hey, Runner Cow, my friend is not missing lah. Don't worry lah. My friend is just hiding. She want to take a breather from the parents here and there." And there are some that told me, "Hey, I just saw my friend in like Jurong West, at the block 1916 or something like that."
But not every tip-off can be checked, so he doesn't report all of them to the police. Instead, he hopes the visibility will somehow still lead to a safe return.
If they run away from home, they are able to change their mind and come back home. Also, if they are really in danger, right, the people staying around the area, or if at the youth last seen location, more people will be able to look out.
At times, desperate parents appeal directly to a missing child.
Please forgive me, man. Come home. I really love you. We can talk this out.
That post alone drew nearly 3 million views. The youths were later found by police and reunited with their loved ones. For Mr. Kao, at the end of the day, he just wants youths to know they are not alone.
There's always someone out there who is willing to show concern, who is willing to give a helping hand to them.
You know, as we see, there's so much worry on the part of loved ones when the youths go missing, right? So what happens, if you can break down for us, when a missing persons report is made?
Well, Angela, when that happens, the police will obviously launch an investigation, and that includes reviewing footage from police cameras. They will also send out alerts. Priority will be given to vulnerable persons. Typically, the large majority of cases are found within a day. So, for example, the youths who run away. But from my personal observations as well, many of the cases were resolved between 1 to 2 days, and the police will inform us as well But to tackle the heart of the issue, we know that there are existing programs by the organizations to really engage the youths. For Care Corner, for example, it's also rolling out training for the staff to better engage parents.
Our youth workers, generally, they are really good at engaging young people, but increasingly we are seeing a need for our youth workers to also be able to engage parents. And parents might be older than our youth workers. Some of our youth workers may not really know what parenting is about, but we can level up their knowledge and capabilities.
Now, Alif, can you resolve this question once and for all? I think a lot of people have this misconception that you can only make a police report 24 hours after the person has declared missing. Is that true?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because that's all what we've heard from TV dramas. But actually, it's not true. In fact, you should report as soon as possible when your loved ones go missing, especially if they are seniors. And on that point, from my investigations, almost 1 in 2 of the police appeals issued this year were for seniors. And apart from dementia, there are many factors why they go missing.
Some of the seniors, they may have some psychological distresses or in fact maybe depressive symptoms and anxiety symptoms. So they may leave homes without letting their family know and hence going missing. Yeah, and I think social isolation is a very key portion.
Angela, we also know that the number of seniors living alone has doubled in the past 10 years. And I also spoke to families on their experience when their loved ones go missing.
This missing person poster was circulating on social media in January. A 61-year-old man, can't communicate much and in need of caregiving. I spoke to his cousin, Mr. Abel Chan, to piece together what happened.
My aunt is actually the caregiver for my cousin Chu. At about noon, she bring him to the coffee shop, and while having lunch, he wanted to go to the lavatory. Less than 5 minutes, I guess, or 20 minutes. Thereafter, he's not in the toilet. He went missing.
The family then started a search hunt covering a radius of 5 kilometers around this coffee shop here at Changi Road, where Mr. Chu was last seen. Now, this covered surrounding areas like Marine Parade, Eunos and Joo Chiat. The wait for answers went on for 5 days. Then a call from the police. Mr. Chu was found here at the Balestier Market, some 8 kilometers away. He also suffered a cut on his forehead. And according to Mr. Chan, where his cousin slept or what he ate during that time remains unclear.
Our next case is Mr. Ang Chiat, who has dementia. His wife, Mrs. Elizabeth Chong, recounts an incident 2 years ago.
The particular afternoon, we were supposed to go for our health check. Right? As usual, I walking in front, he was just behind me. But when I turned around, I couldn't find him. And it so happens that day he actually followed someone else up the lift.
Mrs. Chong had to search every corner of the estate for nearly 2 hours before he was eventually found. These days, she doesn't take anything to chance. Before they go out, she snaps a photo with him with his last known attire, just in case he goes missing, a tip she now shares with others.
So it seems like, Alif, seniors are a very big group that tend to be vulnerable to being a missing person. So especially as Singapore becomes an aging society, why is this issue especially important?
Well, Angela, we know that now 100,000 people in Singapore live with dementia, as you can see on the screen. That number is only going to go up by the turn of the decade. And Singapore's population, as you correctly pointed out, is an aging society. And we are always looking for ways to alleviate the issue, right? So let's find out what some of the organizations are doing.
At this active aging centre in Ang Mo Kio, familiar routines do more than bring seniors together. They also help others notice when something is wrong. When one senior goes missing, others are often quick to realise it.
For instance, if they are supposed to come for a class on every Thursday and we do realize that they are not here, so what usually the people in the class they will do is that they may call the senior to ask if everything is okay, what's going on, and if let's say something serious has happened to the seniors, they will inform us.
Elsewhere, the Kara app helps rally the public when seniors with dementia go missing. Alerts are sent to its 14,000 users with details such as last known location and identifiable traits.
The Kara app taps on the members of public people like you and me to kind of look out for these people who are missing, depending on where they are at that moment.
11 cases have been lodged so far this year alone. At this rate, that could surpass the 19 cases lodged over the whole of 2025. On average, a missing person is found within about 8 hours.
We're working on some features to obviously make the Kara app members stay on longer for the app. When the network gets wider, then obviously the community support of looking for the missing person is stronger.
By year-end, the hope is to grow to about 15,000 users.
Lastly, Angela, have you seen a dementia go-to point like this one?
Oh, not yet actually.
Not yet? Okay, so there are actually 800 points across Singapore, like supermarkets, bus interchanges, and this is where if you see someone who looks lost and has dementia, you can bring them to such points, and that's where they can get help. And the plan is to boost this up to about 1,000 points in future. And interestingly, in my investigations, I also found this very interesting program for seniors. So if you and I were to take part in it, we'll talk about things like childhood memories, family, and this really spurs social interaction and also memory recall. But the organization also says that detecting or identifying signs of dementia early on is key.
Well, Alif, thanks so much for shedding light on this very eye-opening issue as well. I've been chatting with Alif Amsyar on missing persons reports in Singapore.